Hi everyone, and welcome back to Mind the Gap. I'm Casey.
And I'm Jen. Lovely to have you with us today.
So, Jen, quick one. People keep telling me the UK has no good food. Bit harsh, isn't it?
It does sound harsh, although I hear it quite a lot.
Oh, come on. What about chicken tikka masala, fish and chips, a proper English breakfast, scones with German cream? That's British enough, right?
Tempting list. But here's the twist. Tikka masala was created by immigrant chefs here, yes, but it's really built on Indian flavors.
All right, fair.
Fish and chips, that crispy batter, actually came from Portuguese and Jewish frying traditions that made their way over here.
Really? I had no idea.
And the full English, half of it travelled here. Tomatoes and beans from across the Atlantic, tea from much further away.
So our most British dishes have more passport stamps than I do.
Exactly. Which makes you wonder, if so much came from somewhere else, what do we really mean by British food?
Maybe that's the point. It's not that there's no good food, it's just that the story behind it is a lot messier and much more interesting.
Nicely put.
So today, we're digging into that story. Why this no good food joke stuck around and what the plate actually says about life here.
Kettle on, feet up, let's get into it.
You're listening to Mind the Gap.
You know, Casey, British food has been the punchline of jokes for so long that people almost forget why it started.
So people actually joked about it back then too? Like, not just now?
Oh, absolutely. There are travel diaries from the 18th and 19th centuries where visitors complained endlessly. They'd write things like, the beef was grey, the peas were lifeless, and everything was boiled to death.
Boiled to death? That sounds dramatic.
Well, it wasn't far from the truth. Imagine everything cooked until it lost its colour, its flavour, and its will to live.
Poor peas.
Exactly. They suffered for the empire. But you see, those jokes stuck. Over time, the world started to believe British people simply didn't care about flavour. Words like bland, plain, or as dry as dust became part of the stereotype.
That's interesting. So it wasn't just that the food was bad, but that it looked bad too.
Exactly. People ate things like boiled mutton or meat pies that were heavy and brown. It didn't help that British weather made everything look even greyer.
Right, like the food matched the sky.
Perfectly matched. And the funny thing is, the British themselves joined in on the joke. It became a kind of self-deprecating humour.
So laughing at their own food became a national sport.
Pretty much. You'll still hear people say, ah yes, British cuisine, the best in the world, if you enjoy disappointment.
Oh dear, so even Brits make fun of it.
They do, but in that classic way, you know, the kind of humour that says, yes, we know it's bad, but at least we're polite about it.
So the whole bad food reputation isn't just outsiders mocking, it's also the British having a bit of a laugh at themselves.
Exactly. It's cultural irony. But behind the humour, there's a real story about how it got that way, which we'll get to.
Right, so it started as a joke, but it's not just a joke anymore.
Precisely. That story really begins with the weather. Because if you think about it, the climate shaped not just the land, but what ended up on people's plates.
The weather again? You mean all the rain and clouds are responsible for our food too?
In a way, yes. The British Isles are cold, wet, and not exactly blessed with sunshine. So the growing seasons are short, the soil is heavy, and the crops are, well, practical.
So no olives or lemons then?
Exactly. Instead, we had potatoes, carrots, turnips, oats, barley, solid ingredients, honest and reliable, but not exactly bursting with flavour.
Sounds very beige already.
Beige, dependable, and designed to keep you alive. Food here wasn't about showing off. It was about filling you up and keeping you warm.
So they cooked to survive, not to impress.
That's it. Cooking here was born out of need, not ambition. Imagine living in the 1800s, in the middle of winter. No central heating, no tropical fruit, and you've been outside all day in the drizzle. When you come home, you don't want a delicate salad. You want something hot and heavy, a stew, a roast, or maybe porridge.
Basically, edible warmth.
Exactly. That's where all those words like hearty and comfort food really come from.
So when people say British food is plain, maybe that's the whole point. It's supposed to be plain.
Yes, plain but honest. There's a quiet sort of pride in that simplicity. Nothing fancy, nothing overdone, just proper food for getting through the day. And honestly, the weather didn't just shape what people ate, it shaped how they cooked. When the sky's grey and the fields are muddy, you don't crave colour and spice. You crave warmth, predictability, routine.
That actually makes sense. The food fits the rhythm of life.
It does, and in a way it fits the people too. Reserved, steady, not trying too hard, but quietly dependable.
So British food is like the national personality on a plate.
You could say that. It's humble, comforting, a bit shy, and occasionally soggy.
Oh, that's perfect. Occasionally soggy should be our restaurant review slogan.
Yes, we'll put that on the menu. But truly, I think the weather gave British food its soul. It might not sparkle, but it feels like home.
I like that. It might not sparkle, but it feels like home. That's very British indeed.
Exactly. You know what's funny, Casey? After talking about the weather, I think there's another thing that shaped British food just as much.
Let me guess. Still not sunshine?
Definitely not. It's the Industrial Revolution.
Oh, that's a big one. So what does steam power have to do with dinner?
Quite a lot, actually. Before the factories, people cooked at home, slow meals, fresh ingredients, neighbours sharing pies. But when the machines came, time became money, and meal times got shorter and shorter.
Right, so people started eating faster.
Exactly. They had to grab a bite before the next shift, or eat something quick on the go. Lunch wasn't a social event anymore, it was fuel.
That's why everything fits in a pie or a sandwich.
Exactly. It's genius, really. A full meal you can hold in one hand. The Cornish pasty, for example, was basically the original lunchbox for miners. Thick crust on the edge so they could hold it with dirty hands, then toss the crust away after eating the filling.
That's clever, actually. No plates, no washing up, just efficiency.
Exactly. Efficiency became the recipe. Food had to be quick, filling, and no fuss. That's where all those phrases like grab a bite or something on the go came from.
Makes sense. They weren't dining, they were refueling.
Yes, eating became functional. Sandwiches, pies, stews, food that could be made in bulk, easy to serve, easy to eat. And with more people moving into cities, kitchens got smaller. Many families didn't even have space for elaborate cooking. So big portions, simple flavours, and cheap ingredients became the norm.
So that's when the whole meat and two veg kind of meal appeared.
Exactly. Reliable, affordable, no surprises. It was food that worked.
That sounds very British again.
It is. Even the way people talk about meals shows it. A proper meal doesn't mean fancy, it means something warm and filling after a long day's work. So by the time the 20th century arrived, that get-it-done attitude had already become part of daily life. People didn't really celebrate food, they respected it as fuel that kept the country running.
That's actually quite poetic, in a slightly grey way.
Yes, poetic in beige.
Perfect description of British cuisine.
Exactly. And that sense of practicality never left. It's still there today, the packed lunches, the takeaways, the tea breaks, all little reminders that food in Britain was built for busy people with little time to waste.
So it wasn't that they didn't care about food, they just didn't have time for it.
Exactly, and that changes everything.
When we talk about British food losing its flavour, a lot of that goes back to the war. During the Second World War, everything changed. Not just politics or industry, but the kitchen too.
The kitchen?
Yes, because of rationing. From 1940 onwards, nearly everything was limited. Sugar, butter, eggs, meat, even tea. People were given coupons, and they had to make do with what they had.
So, like, you couldn't just go to the shop and buy whatever you fancied?
Exactly. You could only buy what your ration book allowed, and often that meant a few ounces of butter a week, or maybe one egg. Families had to stretch ingredients, swap recipes, and reuse leftovers. There were posters everywhere saying things like, "Waste not, won't not," and "Make it do or do without." It wasn't just advice, it was a survival rule.
That must have changed how people thought about food completely.
It did. Food stopped being about taste. It became about fairness and survival. The Ministry of Food even published booklets teaching people how to cook creatively without using sugar or fat. They'd mash carrots to sweeten cakes or use potato water to thicken soups.
Oh, wow. That's very resourceful.
Resourceful and slightly tragic, but it worked. People got by, they stayed healthy, and everyone shared the same meals, from the king down to the postman.
So that's why even today, people don't waste food. It's history on a plate.
Exactly. It's more than habit, it's inherited memory. Many older generations still say nothing goes to waste, and they mean it. Even younger people grow up with that quiet sense that throwing food away is almost disrespectful.
That actually explains a lot. My British friends always apologise when they can't finish their meal, like it's some moral failure.
Yes, that's the wartime ghost at the table. And you know, the war years left a deeper mark than people realise. When peace returned, there was this long silence around food. People were grateful to eat, but they didn't expect pleasure from it anymore.
That's really sad, actually. It's like taste itself went quiet.
It did. Britain came out of the war with full stomachs, but muted palates. And for decades, that feeling lingered. Food was fuel, not joy.
And that mindset still shapes how people eat today.
Absolutely. It's not that British people don't love food, it's just that for a long time they were taught not to.
So after the war, people stopped expecting food to be exciting, but they still had to talk about it, right? Like, what do you say if it's awful?
In Britain, you say lovely. Saying you didn't like the food is basically social suicide.
Social suicide? That serious?
Oh, yes. You could probably offend fewer people by robbing a bank than by criticizing someone's cooking.
So, even if it's terrible, you just smile, chew bravely, and say, lovely.
Exactly. We're absolute experts at polite lies. Being honest might ruin the mood, and that's far worse than a bad meal.
So it's good manners over good taste.
Always. You don't make a fuss, you keep a straight face, and you carry on. Even if your roast tastes like cardboard, you power through it with dignity.
That sounds like national training.
It basically is. Imagine someone asking, "How's your dinner?" And you're sitting there, chewing something mysterious, smiling through the pain. Lovely. Absolutely lovely.
Oh, I've seen that face. It's like everyone's acting, but no one says it out loud.
That's the British dinner table. It's a quiet theatre of politeness. We just don't like to make a scene. For us, the mood is more important than the menu. If you complain, everyone feels awkward. So we pretend everything's fine, and somehow it becomes fine.
It's kind of sweet in a funny way, like politeness as emotional protection.
Exactly. It keeps everyone comfortable, even when the food doesn't. And honestly, I think it's quite beautiful. That idea that harmony matters more than honesty.
That's so British. Keep calm, keep polite, keep chewing.
Perfect slogan for our dinner table, but it also shows how food in Britain was never just about taste. For generations, it's been about behaviour, about being the right kind of guest. You didn't say lovely because it was true, you said it because it was kind.
So politeness became the seasoning.
Exactly. Even if the food's bland, the manners add flavour.
That's brilliant. Politeness and gravy, the British essentials.
Ha! Couldn't agree more.
So after all that politeness and grey food, something must have changed eventually, right?
Oh, it did. From the 1970s onwards, Britain's plates started to look a lot more colourful. And the reason wasn't some grand culinary awakening, it was people. People from all over the world.
Immigrants?
Exactly. Post-war Britain saw huge waves of immigration from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, the Caribbean, China, the Middle East. They brought their spices, their flavours, and their traditions. And slowly, they changed the national taste.
That's amazing! So the secret to British food is everyone else's food.
Pretty much. You could say Britain reinvented itself through curry and kebabs. In the 1970s, Indian restaurants began popping up everywhere. And by the 1990s, chicken tikka masala was voted Britain's national dish. A dish that doesn't even exist in India. It was created here by immigrants for British palates.
That's brilliant! So it's not stolen culture, it's shared flavour.
Exactly, a kind of delicious collaboration. Food became a melting pot, literally. You had Chinese takeaways, Caribbean jerk chicken, Middle Eastern falafel, and Sunday roasts still sitting proudly next to them.
That sounds like my street in London. You can walk down one block and travel half the world by smell.
Exactly, and that's something to be proud of. British food stopped being grey, it started to glow. What's really interesting is that this new flavour didn't erase the old one, it reinvented it. Traditional dishes started to blend with global spices, like curry shepherd's pie or Yorkshire pudding wraps with tikka filling.
That sounds amazing. So it's fusion with a British soul.
It's still hearty and comforting, just with a little more personality. And I think that's what makes modern British food so special. It's humble, welcoming, and endlessly curious. Just like the people who came here and made it their own.
That's beautiful. It's like the country learned to season itself.
Yes, and that's probably the most British thing of all, making the world's flavours feel at home.
You know, after hearing all that, the history, the humour, the curry, I feel like British food isn't really about showing off. It's about feeling okay, being cared for.
Exactly. Maybe British food was never meant to impress. It's meant to comfort, warm, steady, honest. It's not trying to surprise you. It's just there, quietly doing its job.
Like a cup of tea on a rainy day.
Exactly that. It might not make headlines, but it makes you feel at home. I think what people often miss is that comfort is a kind of luxury too. There's something deeply human about simple food. Mashed potatoes, a stew, toast with butter. Things that don't shout for attention, but still make you feel whole.
Yes, it's not about flash, it's about heart. You can taste care, even if it's plain.
That's the charm, really. It's not dramatic, it's dependable. The kind of food that forgives you for being tired.
And maybe that's what makes it special. It's not showy, but it feels like home.
Exactly. And maybe that's the quiet confidence of British food. It doesn't need to prove itself anymore. It just is.
That's kind of beautiful.
I think so too. And if you enjoyed this episode, do give us a like, subscribe, and share it with someone who still thinks British food is bland. Who knows? They might just change their mind. Cheers!
Cheers! See you next time!